So the cars heading out onto the circuit for their rolling lap ahead of the ClubEnduro Championship, round 5 of this season, with just one more race to come after this. Grid of more than 20 cars, 23 cars that we have today, is on its way around the green flag lap, and we can bring you the grid. Do so. It's going to be a 100-minute race, pit stops between 30 and 85 minutes into the race, with several teams having pit stop penalties to serve. So Scott Parkin in car 1 has a 10-second penalty to serve. Car 6 has a 30-second penalty to serve, which is Ryan Parkin and Dylan Brickton. So it's a rolling start ahead of a 100-minute race for the ClubEnduro Championship. You've got the two Darkside development Audi TTs on the front row of the grid, and it's the twins starting out. Ryan Parkin in car number 6 and Scott Parkin in car number 1. As the red lights go out and the race gets underway, then a bit of a split grid. There's one heading into the pit lane, which I think is Alan Stockford at the end of the rolling lap, but they've all made their way out into this 100-minute race, an hour and 40-minute race for these cars, with mandatory pit stops, as I say. And it's the two brothers, the twin brothers, side by side as they drop down through the left-hander cascades, but it's Kevin Clark in the BMW M3 that's right with them there in 3rd position. I think it looks like that might be Ian Jones in the BMW Compact, a very powerful BMW Compact that's there involved. But Kevin Clark's made it up to 2nd place now, is slotted between the two Parkins and has gone to P2 as they head into Shallows Corner for the first time.
An opportunistic manoeuvre from Kevin Clark, but it's only going to work for one corner, because back past will go the second of the Audis, which is the car that started from pole position, Ryan Parkin. So Scott Parkin leads from his brother Ryan, and then not really a gap back to Kevin Clark. It's they're almost touching one another as they come out of Britain's for this first time. The second of the BMWs worming its way through as well. Kevin Clark, after an absolute killer getaway, is just losing a bit of momentum now, far more distracted by the compact on his tail as they head up Clay Hill for the first time.
Do indeed then. So it is number 1 that leads, which is Scott Parkin. He leads the Class A Championship this weekend with 42 points to 29 of his brother Ryan, who has been shown with Dylan Brickton for this season. Although it was Ryan and Dylan that won last time out at Silverstone last month. It's Ryan Parkin in 2nd place at the moment, Kevin Clark in 3rd. I think it's his first appearance of the season. Very experienced driver in all kinds of cars. Then 4th, it's Ian Jones in that BMW Compact, the number 117 car, the 3.2 litre compact. Here's Luke Krause, number 22 in the Cupra, and he's going wheel to wheel with Darren Ball, and I think he's getting a place away from Ball, so that's for 6th position. Looks like Luke Krause in Stone Market as well. Well, he had got through, but as they turn into Cascades, it's Darren Ball that gets back ahead now in the sort of day-glow yellow and black car. Darren Ball racing in various different cars for a few years. Again through Ireland, Kevin Clark very quick at that part of the circuit. It was right on the tail of what is not Dylan Brickton, but it's Ryan Parkin, we believe, for the first part of this race. And he is right with him, but also very close company is that mighty BMW Compact. And behind them we've got the Trouble 4 car, which is Claire Norman in her Seat Cupra TCR that she shares with Alan Blenker.
Yeah, so Ian Jones has started brilliantly well, and matching the pace of Kevin Clark's similar manufacturer car, but a slightly longer version, if you like, versus the compact that is in 4th position. Now, one Audi's been sent off into the distance, and the other one almost being given a job of the tortoise in this, perhaps. So the number 1 car of Scott Parkin is wasting no time whatsoever. However, Ryan Parkin just cannot shake the car of Kevin Clark, which was a relatively late addition to the field. He's sharing with Aldo Ritti in his E46 M3. And again, late on the brakes, just trying to perhaps force a mistake from the second of the Audis in this race, the Audi TDIs. BMW is going to try and run side by side with the Audi. Almost got his front wheels level, did Kevin Clark. with that of Ryan Parkin, but no way through at Old Hall. Might have a chance though this time around the outside of the avenue. Oh, there was a bit of side-to-side contact there, in fact, wheel arch to wheel arch, and that is what eventually gives Kevin Clark second position, but it wasn't without a touch. He got a much better run coming out of Old Hall corner and moves into second.
He does. So exciting battling going on there. Just look at what's happening in the classes. Class B, that's being led by Tidmarsh and Webster. That car, the great car, being started by Chris Webster, who Matthew Tidmarsh was saying was the quickest of the two drivers in that car this weekend. And Class C, well, it's being led at the moment by Lee Dedley Sandler in number 62, the car that he's sharing with Andy Gay, the BMW 328i. So they're ahead of the car that's still winning this season in Class C, Sam Dennis and Ash Moore. But Dennis and Moore only need a third place finish to wrap up the overall crown, I think, whatever anyone else can do in this race. Just a couple of other things to note about the pit stops as well. I've told you when you can take them, and some success penalties. We also need to say there's going to be 3 minutes long, a mandatory 3-minute pit stop for all the teams. And one other factor is highly relevant. You cannot take your pit stop behind the safety car. So sometimes drivers, the teams can really sort of strategise and take advantage of the safety car period. Well, that element has largely been eliminated with the prohibition of taking your mandatory pit stop when the safety car is out. So the advantage that you might otherwise get through that one, it's pretty much wiped out. There's the Class B leading car, the little Janetta, which Kieran was enjoying in the pit lane earlier on. Yeah, the number 8 car, the Flying Tangerine Racing machine. Janetta Junior car from a couple of years ago, we were hearing. And it's going very well, leading its class ahead of the Trundley and Ballesteros Audi, which is in second place. We can just about see Bobby Trundley's car in the background there.
Another battle to keep your eye out for is still Claire Norman versus Darren Ball in the Cupra competition, if you like, to be the best of the Seat/Cupra brand. One is listed in the programme as a TCR. They're probably both TCRs, though, are they? They're that evenly matched. Yeah, for Darren Ball car. So treble 4 will at some point be handed over to Alan Blenko a little bit later on. There's a place change again there because the second of the Audis, Ryan Parkin, is back in front of Kevin Clark now. So Audi, BMW, back to where we were. Whether there was an element of Kevin Clark giving that place back again for fear of incurring the wrath of the stewards, because as I said, there was a touch, although he got a much better run through the avenue and down into Cascades. It may have been done on pure pace, I suppose. Scott Parkin was away in the distance, still leads, but there's a massive margin of nearly 5.5 seconds now between these two leading Audis.
Yeah, that's right, as they turn their way through Druids for the fourth tunnel. I didn't notice the cars for the back came past our Combox window a moment ago. Back of the leading Class C was intense between Lee Dedley Sandler and Samuel Dennis, and possibly we'll go to pink on that as the race wears on. We're looking at the BMW battle now for third position between the E46 M3 of Kevin Clark and the Ian Jones 3.2 litre BMW Compact, the number 117 car. And there's that gap back to the fourth place back. That's Claire Norman and Darren Ball, and then not too far behind Luke Browse in the Stowmarket Classic Class. We've got the three similar Cupras all together there, very evenly matched. Then just behind them you've got the number 10 car, which is the Rob Fennick BMW M2 CS that he is sharing with Andrew Shepherd. So that's the battle there. You can just see going through, that's the Trundley, just the Trundley at the stage of the race, Audi TT just going through in 12th position overall. Already nearly 10 minutes into this race. Scott Parkin is getting away quite nicely, 6.4 seconds ahead of the rest of them.
This could be a good opportunity for Darren Ball now to muscle his way ahead of Claire Norman. Very good sense of speed towards Britons, but there just wasn't the real estate again to draw alongside. So some good defensive driving, but it's not particularly fast, so it's not hauling Claire Norman away from these additional two Cupras in behind. They go through almost as one, And then the next car in the sequence is the 8th placed number 10 BMW M2. And that typically is what I didn't write down as the starting driver. Car 10.
10 is Rob Fenwick.
Rob Fenwick started it. I can underline that then as we speak. Andrew Shepherd to come a little bit later on. Thank you for that. So Fenwick's almost joining the Cupra line. Oh, big lock-up from Claire Norman, and that will give the places away. And I just wonder whether that was just the mere presence of Darren Ball, lap after lap, really pressurising in that situation. And 5th place, a big change around, because Claire Norman is actually going to rejoin in behind Robert Fenwick's BMW M2.
Yeah, she's a very experienced racer actually, is Claire. She's been racing for more than 20 years. She started out with SEC Road Saloons back in 2003. She's done VW Cup, she's done Masters Top Hat Racing, she's done CSE Swing 60, she's been the British Women Racing Drivers Club champion back in 2022, and senior Gold Star recipient in 2023 as well. So she's very experienced. There's a Gen 1 Coupe for TCR from 2018 2-litre turbo run by Alan Blanco. Racing Alan, of course, taking over the car for the second part of the race, the ex-British Touring Car Championship driver. There is the number 19 car going through. That is the Audi TT of Wayne Lawson at this stage of the race. James Pickford is going to be in for the second part of it, but it looks like it's just lost a position to another orange car, and that is Michael Downey in the Horse Boxster.
Yeah, another similar move actually to Kevin Clark's earlier overtake for second place as it was at the time. So different speeds exiting Old Hall Corner, and then that pinch point where the road just jigs very slightly to the right of the avenue, but you have to get it set up then to take the natural racing line into Cascades. Too wide at Cascades can actually spit you out on the other side, because there is a crowd in the road almost at Cascades, and you've got to make sure that you're in the groove, which actually the Porsche in this case was not, but was still able to take position. So that is the Matthew Downey Boxster S, and behind the Audi TT of Wayne Lawson, with James Pickford still to come.
Yeah, so that's 14th and 15th. Back that we see on the screen now. Both of those cars in Class B. Positions within that class. A bit further back in that class, then interesting. You can see 36 M3. There's the Class B just flashing through shot in 11th place overall. That's Chris Webster, should say, starting in car. Then it's Bobby Trump in second, and third in that class is Will Cottergill in the Honda Type R that we showed just now. Those are the three just gone through, and then the next two cars going through should be the two orange cars, the Michael Downey Porsche and the Audi of Wayne Lawson. We're going back to the car that's in second place, which is Ryan Parkin at the moment. It's number 6, sharing the car with Dylan Pritchett, will be in the car later on in the race. Here is the battle for Class C, though. This is fantastic stuff. You've got Dendy Sadler, Lee Dendy Sadler there, and then you've got Sam Dennis almost alongside the BMW now as they head into Old Hall Corner, and I think he might have done it. Let's have a look. Yes, he has. So Sam Dennis, number 195, takes the class lead in Class C in this ClubEnduro race, a race at which that team, Sam Dennis and Ashmore, could be crowned champions. He's just got through having sat for the first 6 laps of the race behind the BMW of number 62, Lee Dendy Sadler, and right in behind him as well, you've also got the Paul Subiani, number 66, BMW 318 Ti. That's being shared with Tom Walker this weekend, not Johnny Hayes, who must be unable to take part this weekend. So Paul Subiani sharing with Tom Walker this weekend, but already now Sam Dennis has got through. He's pulled out quite a few lengths over those two BMWs, and that really does sort of tend to suggest what other drivers have said. It's a very hard circuit to overtake on, even if you do have a bit more pace than your rivals.
Yeah, you've got to take the moment as it arrives, because if you react a bit too late, then that's kind of it gone, and the next few corners you probably can't overtake at. So in a race of this length, I would say that actually you can afford a bit of time to just pursue your opponent, you know, the one that you're trying to overtake, work out where your car is fastest, where it doesn't perhaps have the strength compared to your rival, and once you've worked out the best place to attempt an overtake, then really go for it. On the flip side, you will have wasted a bit of time then to cars further up the road, but that's what an endurance race allows you to do. Just think a little bit more rather than go at it hammer and tongs from the outset, as you might do in some of the 15-minute races we've got elsewhere in the day. Already nearly 15 minutes into this one though. The time is ticking on. Pit lane effectively opens at 30 minutes unless the safety car is out by that point, and then you're going to wait until it withdraws.
Longer, yes. I mean, I suppose the slightly helpful thing is it's not a completely full grid here today, so that obviously reduces the possibility of the intervention of the safety car. Naturally, it's through cars in the grid, there's less chance of those cars throwing themselves at the scene, so there's less chance of a safety car. So I'm going to touch wood and say this, we can get the race without one. We've already seen the safety car on a few occasions in the sprint races today, so we'll have to wait and see if that does intervene. We'll just go back to that Class C battle. We saw Sam Dennis get ahead. Of course, he does have a 30 seconds penalty to serve in the pit stop compared to other cars in that class. Paul Subiani with only a 20-second penalty to serve, and Nita then decided to have anything to serve in the car he shares with Andy Gay. So really, this stage of the race now for Sam Dennis and Ashton is about pulling out as much of a gap as they can over their rivals within Class C, so that they can try to effectively negate that penalty.
More cars just disappearing over the precipice at Avenue and reappearing, thankfully, in Cascades. So BMW M2 gaining some ground there. Rob Fenwick has driven well to this point in his number 10 car and was able to capitalise on that very slight mistake from Claire Norman earlier on. Now the Dayglow Yellow Cupra was on the tail of a back marker, I reckon, so that was Darren Ball trying to get through without limiting the time lost to Ian Jones. And the Mazda number 169 is the next car that stands in a lot of the front runners' way. That is the 169 car of Simonite. So Matthew Simonite starting, James Mansell in Class C car still to come later on. Oh, it was the Audi that I'd spotted, yes, which is about to be picked off as well by the all-green Rouse car. Luke Rouse driving for the first stint.
Yeah, so through Druids they come. 78 car, that is the Matthew Stockford Audi RS3 LMS, the Team Dynamics customer-run car for the ex-Paralympic skier, showing the very experienced traditionally Honda racer, Alan Chase, but obviously racing this Audi with Matthew Stockford as he has done all season. And they are actually third in the Class A Championship coming into this weekend. Best of the cars behind the two Darkside development machines of Scott Parker and Ryan Parkin, and level on points with Matthew Hampton and Andy Schultz coming into this weekend as far as the Championship is concerned. Class B, as we've mentioned, is Matthew Tidmarsh and Chris Webster leading. That will be Trundle and Sandra Blaisdell second, and then it's Chris Nyland, Oulton, and Ryan Bensley in the third place car within that. That's Ryan might be racing this weekend, but Chris and Long Skill sharing the driving between them. There's Luke Rouse going through. He's in sixth position. Glass-entered car. Some big beefy cars making their way out of Charlotte's corner there. The 18 minutes of this race having gone down to the right-hand corner. Brook has gone. Battle for fifth and sixth. Ball versus Rouse. The gap between the start of the lap was 2.3 seconds. I'm wondering if that's possibly come down a little bit now. Now that's what's gone on there? Oh, that's the Lapri, isn't it? That the race leader's doing. Yeah, I've got momentarily confused with the more beefy compact that's further up the order, the Ian Jones car. That's the 66 car, the car that's in Class C of Paul Subiani. The new fastest lap of the race has gone to Kevin Clark in third place now, at 1:48.251. Lap record for these cars around here was a 1:46.89, set by Will Stacey here a couple of years ago in the Lotus. At least that
So was Kevin Clark able to pick up a toe here and there, either from back markers, or was he even close enough to be doing so on the Parkin Audi? And I mean Ryan Parkin rather than the race leader Scott, because 148.2 on that particular lap was a full second faster than the two cars ahead. So there is scope yet for that gap to the second placed Audi to condense yet further, but Ian Jones isn't a million miles away either in the more beefy BMW compact. So Audi second place ahead of Kevin Clark, getting larger in the mirrors now for Ryan Parkin. All of these Class A cars at the sharp end of the field. The fastest lap indicated on our scoring tower graphic as well. Clark's checked out. That almost was like a mistake from Ian Jones to have delayed very slightly the second of the BMWs.
I mean, Clark does stand a good chance of a win here, I think, because although he's third, he doesn't have any success penalties, so because he's not done any rounds in the championship so far this season. Whereas Scott Parkin's got a 10-second penalty, Ryan Parkin's got a 30-second penalty to reflect success they had in the previous round of the championship. So that will likely make a bit of a difference. Certainly as we enter the closing stages of this race.
What do we know about Aldo Ritti's potential pace when he takes the BMW?
I don't think he will be as quick as Kevin Clark, which isn't surprising because Kevin's a really good driver as well.
And a BMW specialist as well.
A BMW specialist, Euro car racer. So I don't think Aldo is too shoddy, but I don't think he'll quite have the pace that Kevin does. So yeah, again, that's something to bear in mind. But obviously Scott Parkin's doing the whole race solo, so his pace should be predictable and consistent throughout. Dylan Brixton and Ryan Parkin, I think that they're both mutual matches in terms of their lap times as well. So I think again they'll be fairly consistent the whole race long. There's the Class C leader and the sort of champion-elect being lapped, Samuel Dennis and Ash Moore. They're looking to get a perfect. Nice to finish the season unbeaten in Class C. They've taken every race with every fastest lap so far. Just looking to see if they've got the best fastest lap in Class C as well. Yes, they have so far. So they're looking good, but still 78 minutes to go. But it's looking like Sam Dennis and Ash Moore could make it 5 wins in fastest laps in a row. Things continue in the same vein as they've started here. But for the moment, watching this battle for second, Ryan Parkin and Kevin Clark.
When they do eventually pit, will they change tyres as well, or keep the same set of tyres that they're on?
Unusual. I mean, I guess the one unknown is actually hard for us to tell here is the weather.
Yes.
Do we get a change of weather at any point during this race? Because
really would to me.
Indeed, the forecast I saw indicated between 2 and 3 o'clock it might start to rain here, so that could prompt a change in strategy for some. But no, normally they'll be refuelling, but no change in tyres unless obviously there's a damage to a tyre or something like that. I think we did see in the last meeting it sort of some tyre changes going on, but that was really the exception rather than the rule.
And I'm guessing that they're all going to be 5 studs to undo and do up again as well. So if you're going to do a 4 tyre change, that starts to compromise your 3-minute essential time to be spending in the pit lane. But
yeah, and of course you can't be doing that while you're refueling as well. So you've got
okay, yes,
the time will be adding up. So
yeah, so there's different things you can do in the pit stop, which will obviously glean benefits, but are they going to essentially delay you in the pit lane? You want something that's not going to take any longer than, well, it's not even 3 minutes stopped, is it? Because that's also traversing the pit lane from the white line to white line. And a careful bit of timing would have been done, I'm sure, as to how long it takes for the car to leave your pit stall or your expected stopping position at the end of pit road, so you don't breach the 3 minutes. Very, very wide approach there for Ryan Parkin in his number 6 Audi, almost putting the front left tyre onto the grass. I don't think he quite did that, but over the white line. Not really a track limits issue, more of a grip potential problem, as he's now going to go to the high side of, and that's either a Porsche Cayman. It is a Porsche Cayman. I was confusing it with another Audi that's a similar colour. So that's the 76 Cayman of Michael Dowdy doing this race solo. And actually, very little time lost there by Kevin Clark. He got through in more or less the same position.
Yep, certainly did. As they lap up down in Porsche car, driving down from border. Was inspired by his dad to go racing. Started back in 2018, so now in his 7th season, and aiming for the Clubman Cup Award this year, but he's not really in contention for that at the moment. He's only got 15 points so far this season, 28 points behind the lead. The Clubman Cup is for cars more than a decade old, with more standard gearboxes, more than sequential type gearboxes, etc. In this championship. As the second and third cars going through, powering away. There's Downey in the orange Porsche Boxster, taking his way out of Shallow's corner. And a little battle going on. And is this fourth position? Yes, it is fourth position. And over the grass goes the Senna Osman car, the E30 BMW, the 171 car. Senna Osman showing that car with Jody House, the driver from Bromley, therefore loses the position that he briefly gained back to Matthew Simonite in the Mark III Mazda MX-5, and they're shortly going to be lapped by Scott Parkin, as well as Ryan Parkin and Kevin Clark as well. There's Scott Parkin getting past them now.
Yeah, so it's going to take maybe a few corners actually for that E30 to clean up its tyres now, and for Osman to be happy to push. Not necessarily for the remainder of this lap, but certainly for the next one. Down towards the apex goes both Ryan Parkin and Kevin Clark in their Audi and BMWs respectively. Kevin Clark using a lot of power coming out of that corner, and the car just jumped sideways very slightly on its rear tyres towards the curve, but it was neatly controlled, also ducking underneath the Mazda MX-5 of Matthew Simonite. That was an Old Hall corner. So Parkin, Clark, and then the Ian Jones BMW, but that is now 11 seconds to the drift of the rear bumper of Clark. So fight definitely on for second and third. Could well continue on into the second stint, but remember that both of those cars will be changing their drivers for Dylan Brichter and for Aldo Ritti.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I got there in the end. I thought I've got to look down to my notes rather than the printed programme. Aldo Ritti will take over the BMW. So that's all a bit up in the air as to how they will compare for the second stint, and indeed how long each of them gets.
Indeed. Only 3 minutes or so away now from the pit window opening. So let's see if anyone does go for an early stop in particular to try and steal a march on rivals potentially. Very interesting to see how the strategy does play out. It is just the one stop that they have in this race. So it's multiple stops that have to be taken. And maybe, I guess, for weather potentially being changed, maybe you wouldn't want to take a stop too early, so in case the weather does change, and then you can do something at your pit stop to schedule. That also depends on things like fuel loads, how far into the race you can go. Today's race won't stretch the cars quite as far as some rounds. Obviously, it's a 100-minute race. We have 2-hour races. We've had a variety of lengths of race this season. 75-minute race, 75-minute race at the Diagnostics Grand Prix circuit, and 3-hour race this year as well. But this is just a 2-hour race. Sorry, a 100-minute race. And should be relatively straightforward for the teams that we've got. There is this now with the weather forecast, we'll get the radar on the phone and see what might be in store for us in the hour.
I mean, at the start of the day there was just a general thunderstorm warning, because it's very difficult to forecast where a thunderstorm is going to go, so that has to, by the Met Office, just be an overhanging threat. But as for actual wet weather, all around the skies pretty promising. There's cloud, but there's no darkness approaching in a hurry. The other interesting thing for me is that Ryan Parkin and Kevin Clark have been hard at it, and I thought they'd be actually slowing one another up, but that gap to the race leader has been coming down progressively. It was 5.3 after 8 laps, 4.8, 3.1, it's now down to 2.7, so they're actually getting closer and closer to the leading Audi.
Now, I've got the radar in front of me, and what it is showing me is that there is very some rain, some storms, quite heavy rain heading in this general direction. But it looks, as things stand, like it might just skirt past them to the line.
Almost as if there's a force field, there's an MSV force field keeping all the bad weather away.
Absolutely. And here comes Kevin Clark, has a look at the inside of Ryan Parkin there into logical, and then quickly decided the better of it. He's remained in third position, but yes, that force field keeping rain away. Now we've got a car into the pits, but before the pit window is open, and that's the Lee Dendy Sadler BMW 328i, and that was literally just about 30 seconds before the pit window opened, which is very unfortunate. But that's actually a problem with that car. Needed pushing into the pit lane. The pit lane window is now, well, not yet, but in about 10 seconds it will be open for business, and drivers will have to take their mandatory 3-minute stops should they wish.
Kevin Clark right on the back of Ryan Parkin. He didn't have the best run through the first corner at Old Hall and was under massive pressure. Actually, his braking though into Shell Oils was a lot more beneficial compared to the BMW, so he's made another gap on the beamer behind. Through Britain's they go, threading the eye of the needle there, but the gap's about the same. That was a big chance for Kevin Clark. He still holds the fastest lap. That was done 6 laps ago, and the gap has opened back up again, more to the region of 4 seconds between the two Parkin-driven TTs.
And it looks like Claire Norman is that that's it. Yes, she is. So first driver making a scheduled stop there by the looks of it. There's a time penalty for car 69, which is the Matthew Hampson BMW. That's the M2, the CS Racing car. That presumably is for track limiting, so for limited down to get a 5-second penalty will be added to its time. So the lead is coming towards the end of the lap. First time when the pit lane window is open. Is anyone going to take it? Well, Scott Parkin hasn't, Ryan Parkin hasn't, Kevin Clark hasn't. They all continue on for at least one more lap, with the pit window now having opened for the 55 minutes. I think we said it was going to be open during the course of this 130, 85 minutes into it. There is the car. Now here we are, we're talking about tyre changes, and it looks like a tyre change is required on that Claire Norman and Alan Blanco car. Leaning in to study the tyres that are being taken on and taken off that car. What are you reading into this, Johnny?
Well, I think it's like for like, basically. I don't think you can go early and predict rain arriving, so the tread patterns look very, very similar, but it is a lengthy job. Having said that, it's just a newer tyre, a bit more grip, driving wheels on a Cooper as well. Yes. So those will be the ones that take the punishment, as opposed to, for instance, Kevin Clark's BMW being rear-wheel drive. But this is maybe early. It could be, of course, that they had 2 tyres that they knew they weren't going to do the distance, but they had a bit of meat on them, whereas these are the better ones now for the new driver as well. Treble 4 will be taken over by Alan Blanco. I remember him in Ford Fiestas.
Yes.
The early 2000s.
That's right.
He raced people like Gordon Shedman, Colin Turkington in those days.
He did. It had raced against Turkington. So that was on the days when I think the Fiestas won the Power Tour package, and then F3 GT Sports, weren't they?
Yes.
At that point in time.
Yes. There may have been a switch, but yeah, Power Tour did incorporate Fiestas at a certain point.
Right. But then, of course, they were also associated with the Tokyo as well. But yes, Alan Blanco wasn't a Fiesta racer. Probably tell you exactly when that was, because he's detailed it all down on his commentary.
Good man.
2000, he was 5th overall in the Fiesta Championship. He was the champion of the Winter Series that year, 4th overall in 2001. And then did BTCC in the production class Alfa Romeo in 2002. So it must have been 2000, 2001 that you were thinking of. Yeah. That he did that. Before that, he started racing with the 750 half Olympics in 1999 at the Stock Hatch Championship. He was 4th in a Peugeot 205 GTI.
So 750 came before his running Fiestas?
Yes. Yeah,
it's gone full circle.
Yeah, that's right. Well, just a quick rundown on the order for those of you at the circuit without access to the time screen. Number 1 it is that's leading, which is Scott Parkin, and number 6 Ryan Parkin. In second place, 33 is third, which is Kevin Clark. Fourth is 117 Ian Jones. Fifth is 25 Darren Ward, and sixth is 22 Luke Browns. Class B, the leader is number 8 Matthew Tidmarsh in ninth place overall. 155 Paul Simerson, 119 Bobby Trundle. Sorry, Simerson's in a Class A car, so it's a Class B car with Trundle, and the third Class B car in 12th overall is Will Possigill. And Class C, that's being led by Sam Dennis in 195 from number 66 now, which is Paul Sibiani, and up to third place in that has got Thomas Stedman in the Mazda MX-5 since the Denley Sadler and Gay BMW came into the pit lane. In saying all of that, another car has arrived in the pits, and that's the Alan Stockford Audi, which is just coming in for its mandatory stop. So 65 minutes of the race left to go. Alan Blanco now back out of the race.
Yeah, so lap times are not quite, two of them won't quite fit into the 3-minute window. So you're going to be 1.5 laps down once you've made your stop. And therefore, you're going to have to be looking as far down as 19th position for potentially a top 5 or 6 finisher. That will all equalise with time. Delay there as now Kevin Clark's come in. It's earlier than I expected, and is that Kevin yet to get out? In fact, yes, he hasn't quite done all his belts, I think. Kevin can get out now. The car's about to go up on the internal jacks with the airline readiness, but fuel first, as you've made the point. So fuel has to be done entirely separately from a potential tyre change. Oh, that's a fire extinguisher. So that was a readiness for moving on toward as the fuel was going in. Brakes look very, very hot because there are a couple of very hard stops around here. Yes, and it's leaking something. Yes. So that's not brakes, is it? So that's potential overheating of engine, in fact.
Yeah, or something pouring out there.
Steam or smoke is issuing from the top part of the wheel arch rather than the brake disc.
Yeah,
so it's coming from the engine bay, or at least the cooling system, for that BMW. So that's the concern.
He's down there going to try and bring us the news if he can in a moment. There, though, now on his own in second place is Brian Parkin, number 6. Although, yes, he is over the line now. It's the 66 car of Horse Bjorn, just behind him at the moment. So, keep an eye on what's going on with Kevin Clark's car down in the. Possibly that's why it was an earlier than expected stop, because Kevin sensed that there was something wrong with the car and the dials were telling him that things were going a little bit to pot. Let's have some news from the pit lane in Kieran's den.
Yes, we're down here with the 33 car at the moment. There's coolant leaking from the front at the moment. The driver did not seem to be too worried about it. But they've just been rushing a load of fuel into it. He's currently been strapped back into the car. The marshal will point out the coolant, but again, yeah, the driver wasn't too concerned about it. He's just starting the car again, ready to go out, almost waiting. Oh, the car's not starting. Hang on. Yeah, I don't think it's starting. The car's stuck. Pass back up to you guys. We'll try. Oh, no, car's going. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I'll pass back up to you guys. He's just about to go back out on track.
It sounds like it's certainly fired now. It's a bit of a moment, I would think, before the car pushing it back now, so the 3 minutes must be up. Must have pushed the timing of that. As we're watching the Class B leader, number 8, come through, which is Matthew Tidmarsh, and he's still leading Class B quite comfortably now over Bobby Trundle in second place. The Intersport car for Kevin Clark, and now Aldo Ritty is being pushed back out and is going back out into the race. Starting to accelerate away. Out though, just in front of the number 1 car of Scott Parker.
I thought I knew all my symbols on the TSL screen, but the little disc there, does that indicate some sort of penalty?
Yeah, that's the car. That's
69.
the penalty. Yes, they've got a 5-second
Okay. to Matthew Hampson and the Andy Schultz BMW M2 CS racing car. So I was just momentarily concerned that that car had not maybe come through a split recently, and they were trying to locate it, but it's actually an in-race penalty. So Kevin Clark's BMW pitting on lap 90, which was about 35 minutes into the race. So when you've got a 50-minute pit window, 55-minute pit window, you've literally used 5 minutes of it and then stopped. So it doesn't leave much wriggle room should the weather take a turn or should something else happen a little later on. I didn't know for sure from Kieran whether there was definitely a driver change, as it didn't give Kevin Clark get back in, but the car was in there for such a long time. I think they have to have done the driver change. And Aldo Rizzi takes over. Now you said that Aldo maybe doesn't offer quite the speed that Kevin can, but this is his chance to step up, isn't it? And unfortunately he's got to swallow the fact that he's now already a lap, well maybe two laps down. Yeah, 2 laps down, because you lose a lap in the pits and now the race leader's gone by again. But you can't let that affect you because the number 1 car hasn't pitted yet.
Okay, we're told there's no driver change in the 33 car. They didn't, so Kevin Clark has, so presumably going to stay for the whole race now. Although he was included on the injury list, but just say Kevin's name on the time screen. So maybe a late decision made even before the race started that Kevin would do the whole race on his own, which does change things a little bit because Kevin very much I know on his team for all his years of building racing, particularly endurance racing. As well, but also for 3 decades ago in Europe, V6s and roads, the short circuits, and the oval at Malibu Park, and places like that. 1 mile. So that's the 117 car. That's just coming in now for its stop from the 3rd position. So this is Ian Jones. Martin Gadsby is that should be getting in for the second half of the race, and I can see Martin in the background just getting his gloves together and basically get into the car. Before he does so though, they will refuel it to make sure that it's away from the car. This small hand with an extinguisher before they get out into the race. Get ready for the fuel to go in. Second that's the key thing. The level goes down in there. Actually, just put a jug and a half in there, I reckon.
That dump churn kind of incorporates the air release as well, doesn't it? So the venting valve, as the fuel goes in, the air comes out, and that's what makes the whole process very quick indeed.
Back out into the race goes the number 83 car as well. That's the Buttergill and Nyland. Nyland has taken over the car that was, I think, 2nd or 3rd in class speed on the civil type up. It's got into the race as well, having made a stop. The other car that's coming, I can see at the other end of the pit lane now, I think it's the 55 car. It's not showing us. So there's the Schultz and Hampson car. There's a car that we didn't want to see.
But I get the feeling Kevin Clark maybe thought that this would be the case somehow. He didn't seem overly concerned when around Kieran, because he probably had his powder face on, but the poker face. But actually, when a car is overheating to that extent, it's driven straight into the garage on this occasion. Is there anything they can do? Because if the engine temperature is spiking, you risk doing an awful lot of damage to, I'm sure, a very expensive BMW engine. Give it a bit more time, allow the air to get at it, but if the temperature's not coming down, I'm afraid that might be just time to park it now.
Yeah, we've got the 119 car now in. That's Bobby Trundley to hand over to Sandro Ballesteros, who is it's a local circuit. He's from Rochdale, only 17 years of age, and started racing the Junior Saloon Car Championship, so he's done some 6 trophy racing cars for 3 years now, and he featured in the CBBC My Life on the Fast Track documentary following his journey from karts to cast, and the car being run by Dad with support from Team Grit Sunder's also raced every penny for his racing in JSCC as well. There you can see that's not the pit lane, that's the back side of the pit lane behind the garages, and that's where we find Kevin Clark.
Yeah, he's driven it very close to his trailer, in fact, so that if the car stops there, then it's, I suppose, easy to push it the remaining distance. The smoky, probably was smoke rather than steam indication, seems to have drifted there, but the engine's probably been turned off.
As Ryan Parkin's in the pit lane as
Ryan
well.
Parkin in from second place, yes.
And he's going to hand over to Dylan Richter for the second part of the race. And that's going to be split pretty evenly to this 45 minutes gone, 55 minutes of the race. That's going to be Dylan Richter, who Ryan took the win in the last meeting at Silverstone as well in August. So those two, which is what I suppose they're closing out shortly. So Scott Parkin's still out there, and about probably now half a lap ahead of the car that's second place on the road, which is Darren Ball, who's yet to make his stop in his Cupra. Luke Rose Cupra just about half a second behind Darren Ball. As we're watching Alan Blanco in the 444 car down in 18th position onward after what I think was a slightly longer than strictly necessary pit stop earlier on. Blanco down in 18th position. At the moment, the car behind him on track is the 55 car of Paul Simerson in that BMW 4 GT4, the driver from Nuneaton.
Making some good progress after its stop now is the Gadsby-driven 117 BMW Compact. So Ian Jones gone out of that. Martin Gadsby takes over. The Bristolian is already up to 10th position with a stop under his belt. So that's good now to the finish for just under 54 minutes still to go. Cooper is still lapping at a very similar speed as well. Remember, there were three of them, now the two that have not yet stopped. So Darren Ball ahead of Luke Browse, up as high as third and fourth now. Will become second and third, in fact, with the pit stopping Ryan Parkin. Handing over to Dylan Richter as we speak. So that Audi as well going a lap down, as you automatically do with your pit stop. The leader is now completely in isolation on lap 25. The only car on, sorry, lap 26. The only car on 26 currently.
Yeah, the 333 cars in the pit lane at the moment. That's the MX-5 of Thomas Dedman handing over to Michael Hooper. That has a 10-second success penalty from the previous meeting. So in the midst of the pit stops, about half of the drivers have made a stop so far. Kevin Clark's been twice throughout the race, so quite a few drivers yet to make their pit stops. It's not, I suppose you get a very busy pit window all of a sudden, very busy pit all of a sudden, but it's not been the case today. It looks like the drivers in terms of staggered their pit stops quite well throughout this window. There's still plenty of it open, still another 37 minutes of the pit lane window remaining. Watch this battle, it's for second and third as things stand, obviously with some of the drivers having made their stops ahead of them. Between Darren Ball and Luke Browse here. What kind of lap times are they doing? Well, Browse is in the best of 150.5, Horse in the best of 151.2. The best lap of the race still is, I think, yes, Scott Park on 148.47, and they're in the smoky haze of a TDI Audi TT, and goes Dylan Richter back out into the race with 52 minutes of the race left to go. There's the Darkside 12 minutes in. Michael Downey as well in his Porsche production as well, the 76 car.
Yeah, Darkside Development is obviously a big initiative, but I don't know how many personnel they bring to a Jaguar. Okay, but could they service two cars at once, or is it a deliberate ploy to pit them a few minutes apart at least?
Yeah, I think they could do. I think they could do until once they need to. Probably.
Well, they actually have the luxury to not need to at this stage again because of almost the orchestrated way that they've dictated this race from the off. Scott Parkin, it felt to me as if he was given the role of jetting off into the distance, whereas Ryan Parkin, he wasn't very slow, but he wasn't going at the same speed as Scott, and almost acting as a rear gunner, just going fast enough, I suppose, to hold Kevin Clark up here and there. And the other thing is, of course, Kevin Clark's actually sitting behind a car at close quarters, a very hot race car, for a significant chunk of time. So has that lack of fresh air to the BMW actually caused the overheating problem?
Yeah, it's a little bit of help, isn't it? It's from airflow will have been disrupted. Edward Christie is the third of those three cars that you can see on the same there, with the 48 481 Class B 36 M3 for the driver from London. Let's head down to the pit lane, shall we? And here it is down there with one of the parking cars. Seems like we just have 1 or 2 technical issues with Kieran's mic there. We'll back down with him just as soon as we can to hear from Ryan Parkin, so to speak, with Scott's out on the circuit at present. We'll back down with them just as soon as we can be. So we pretty much are halfway through this race now, just under 50 minutes left to go. It is Scott Parkin on the market leading, 25 Dan Ball, 22 Luke Krause. Actually, that's just changed. Yes, it has. Luke Krause has just got through. Just as I was saying that, John.
Yeah, the green car suddenly appearing ahead of the black and day glow yellow. So maybe that was done into Old Hall, or into Lodge Corner, I should say, at the end of the previous lap, possibly through the Knickerbrook chicane. But it's very recent. They were separated by just 0.7 of a second as they headed across the line. And now an opportunity for Luke Krause to open up more of a gap. That car's not stopped yet, nor has Darren Ball, nor has Scott Parkin, who leads the motor race. The 10 car that was started by Robert Fennick needs to still pit as well, but that is a fair chunk further down the road from those squabbling Cupras. Well over to the right now is the rejoining number 6 car. Hopefully we can still hear from Ryan Parkin very shortly, but his teammate Dylan Brichter now at the wheel of car number 6 and straight into the traffic.
Yeah, no respite for him, and even though there's not so much traffic as there might sometimes be, you still come across it fairly often. Because there's quite a disparity in lap times from front to back. So the fastest cars in this race are doing, well, the best lap of the race is 1:48.427 for Scott Parkin, and then going towards the back, yeah, he's sort of 2 minutes plus for some of the cars within Class C. The MX-5s, for example, will be sort of north of 2 minutes in terms of their best lap times. Interestingly, for the Class C car, the Class C leader, Samuel Dennis, he's in a 1:57.072, so only 9 seconds off the lap time of the Class A lead, the overall lead from the overall fastest lap of the race. So that's why they've had such success in that class this season. The 3 classes, by the way, split on power to weight ratio rather than anything else. Different splits at 300 brake horsepower per tonne for Class A, 240 brake horsepower per tonne for Class B, and 180 brake horsepower per tonne maximum for Class C. There's some variation as well for forced induction engines as well. That's the general theme. It's power to weight ratio, which is measured on and sort of certified for the season. It has to be obviously tested to make sure that that teams are complying with the power to weight split. They have to display the minimum weight of the car, which is calculated based on how much power it puts out as well, and check that they comply with that on the weighing scales at each round of the championship as well. There's the Darkside Developments car, number 1 now in. Scott Parkin into the pit lane then from the race lead. You can see the cold air blowing in just to try and prevent these cars from overheating. The point of interest here is where he's going to come out relative to Dylan Brichter, who's just gone across the line now. Now, in theory, of course, Scott was ahead of Ryan Parkin on track before the pit window opened. And of course, Ryan and Dylan have got a 30-second pit stop penalty serve, whereas Scott's only got 10 seconds serve. So really, if Scott doesn't come out in front of Dylan Victor, then we know something's gone pretty badly wrong at the pit stop.
Yeah, true, but those things can happen. So it's a useful thing to measure between now and all the cars rejoining. He will have had to have done the pit stop within the next 30 minutes. 15 minutes from the end. Two BMWs very evenly matched, so this is the 10 car that hasn't yet stopped. 68 looking for a way to one lap itself. 69, is that the BMW?
Yes, 62, is it 62?
62, I'll get there in a minute.
So 69, you're quite right first time. Hampson and Schultz.
Hampson and Schultz, who have stopped, and they are looking to unlap themselves, as now the Audi, which is the Scott parking car, number 1, will retain Scott as its driver and head back into the race, just out of, there it is in fact, we'll say out of your vision, but in ours, and it's in yours now as well. So back to the racetrack goes Scott parking. Everything will have cooled off, of course, so important to ease your way back into the stint, and actually a relative calm both in front and behind where the car is rejoined.
Yeah, and well ahead of Dylan Victor as well, who you can see was much further back around the lap as that car was going out as well. In fact, it's just coming across the line now. So I can see what the gap is between those two cars. Not easy the TSO display works. So get a feel on that as they come through next time as to exactly how big that gap is between. So the three cars that, the first, second and third, the three cars that have yet to stop now. That's 222 Luke Browse, number 10 Fenwick, and number 8 Matthew Tidmarsh is the Class B leader. Class C is still being led by Sam Dennis and Ash Moore. They've now made their stop, but they are still leading the scene, therefore well on their way to wrapping up the ClubEnduro crown with a round to spell. Sort of pseudo scrap going on, and Sander Schultz is going to try and, if he can, to get ahead of the sort of second M2. So Fenwick is on lap 30 and Schultz is on lap 28, making that 31.29 as they cross the line. So there's 2 laps between them. Schultz should be a little bit quicker, he's a faster driver than Matthew Hampson. But these two cars, by definition, are very even. Both of them twos, and it's seemingly difficult for Andy Schultz to find a way past him on this 2.6 mile mark international circuit.
BMW is shadowing each other's every move, so they arrive together into the Shell Oils hairpin now. So leading remains, well, for the first time in fact, Luke Browse. It's still Luke Browse at the wheel of that green Seat after he made the move a little earlier on Darren Ball, and Darren has now pitted in the number 25 Cupra, Seat Cupra. Fenwick and Shepherd to become Shepherd, car number 10 BMW, is also not yet a stopper, and benefiting from not paying a pit call is the Ginetta G40 that was receiving so much attention from Kieran Mogg earlier on. So that G40 heavily up-tuned into the overall top 3 now, but that will all equalise in due course. So the 10 BMW threatening to hold up a faster car here, the 69 of now Schultz. Andy Schultz looking for a way by, but can't do it at the moment, and they're going by a much older BMW, the E30.
Yeah, nice to see the different generations of BMW getting 30 years or so between Right, it looks like Fenwick has come into the pits now with 41 minutes of the race left to go, so has come out of the race, out of second position, and that does free up then Andy Schultz in the number 69 car. Shackled as he now is by that. We've only got the Browse car, the Tidmarsh car, the also the Pickford Audi TT, the Ed Christie BMW and the Barcelona of the House E30 that we just saw. Those are the only cars left on their pit stop. They've got 25 minutes or so left to do. So one of the cars on screen now is a back 19 car in the Wayne Lawson Audi TT is showing James Pickford, the single-seater racer. Wayne, who is 52 years of age, from Sleaford, company director. In his first season of racing, having done track days for 20 years. He's driven Ferrari Challenge cars around some racetracks in the UK and Europe. But he's a wheelchair user. His car has hand controls, and it's prepared by Blackthorn Racing. And it's a freshly built car, this one. It was based on 2011. Now it's TT
Unbelievably, the floppy bollard, which is at Britain's chicane, lasted almost an hour, but it got absolutely whacked by possibly a couple of cars at the same time and has now been completely flattened. But I can't believe it's remained standing until an hour into an hour and 40-minute race.
Class B leaders into the pits, by the way, number 8, Matthew Tidmarsh, so he's now arrived in pit lane as well. Fairly odd now, just a few cars left to make their stops.
Yeah. This is really taking the pressure off with Browse in the number 20 car. Hall to take over. That is a Seat. They are TCR for the drivers from Suffolk. 25 just creeping through a shot there, which is still Darren Ball. He's solo driving today. Worcestershire driver with his Cupra TCR, but with company. So heading up Clay Hill, that's going to be an interesting run to the end of the lap. When these final stops are made, then we will get a true complexion, true idea of which way this race is going. We'll kind of work that out, to be honest, anyway, because the 4th and the 5th placed Audis were separated by not very much at all for a whole host of laps in the early stages. I saw the gap coming down to as little as 2.7 seconds. It's now going to be the thick end of half a minute.
So there's the Schultz, number 69, BMW, just going through shots. And this very experienced driver, he's 56 years of age. Been racing since 1989. He's raced since the late 1980s, then in UK and Europe, in 7th Formula 4, Formula 4 2000, Formula 4 C-Sec, Formula Open Lotus, British GT, GTC champion, Brit Car champion, he's been a GT Cup Class champion, some Blanc Propel Endurance, LMP3, Brit Sports, Dutch Supercar over the years, has Andy Schultz, and the car he races, the S55 Turbo Straight 6 engine, prepared by his team, ASR Motorsport. Originally a BMW Motorsport car, though, it ran in Italy in 2022 and 2023. That's the 69 car, that M2, that looks so resplendent and is currently, where is it in the running order? It's 8th in the running order. It does have a 5-second penalty. Chris Webster's about to go out into the race for the 37 minutes that are remaining. The team counting him down. Push the car back out into the race. Don't want to make any mistakes and pick up any unnecessary penalties. So Chris Webster in that Ginetta, ex-junior car from 2015, goes back out into the race. Saw in the press the other day that Ginetta's giving a facelift to all of their cars that are racing in things like Ginetta Junior and also their main Ginetta GT Championship as well. Giving them a more up-to-date look.
That might be the only car where the order of the names on the timing screen is inaccurate, because I had Webster circled for car 8.
Oh, you're completely right, aren't you? Yes.
It's a rare thing. Note this down in your diary, folks. But yes, Matthew Tidmarsh, in fact, taking over from Chris Webster. But otherwise, TSL have done a cracking job, because they should have moved the names around to mean that the first one listed was the starting driver.
Shall we hear from Chris Webster now?
Why not?
Let's go down to Kieran.
I'm down here with Chris Webster from the Ginetta. Ian, I know you've been taking the, yes, about me liking the Ginetta. I don't care. Let's talk about it. You're currently leading your class. How's it been out there?
It's been good, actually, yeah. Event 3, I'd say, really. I was a bit worried about kind of starting next to Buttergill in the 83 Honda, but I think fortune played a little bit into our hands at the start, because it was a Class A car that peeled off into the pit lane behind the safety car, and it ruined Williams' momentum. So I managed to get to the first corner, clear of him, and then it's been plain sailing ever since.
Absolutely. And how you found the traffic management out there?
It's not too bad at all. I mean, it's a smaller grid than we're used to, isn't it? So yeah, a few Class A's to duel with, some B's and C's that I've either, I don't know whether I've come round onto them or they've done pit stops and they're suddenly, you know, in my midst again. But yeah, it's been alright. Yeah, no events, no drama.
And how you looking for the end of the race, do you think?
Don't ask me that. It's a Ginetta, it's a race car. There's two reasons why I'm nervous. Matt's an ace driver. Me and him are always within a couple of tenths of each other wherever we go. Oh, it's a really good pairing, so as long as the little car does its job, we'll be fine.
So we're not going to say anything about the anything then. Good luck for the end of the race.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, thank you. Back to you guys up in comms.
Webster down there leading Class B, handing over to his buddy Matthew Tidmarsh for the second part of the race. Meanwhile, more consequent pit lane, such that the only one that's yet to do so is the Senna Osman, B30 M3 to hand over to Jody Hamilton. But hoping that will appear in pit lane before too much longer. There is the 69 car of Andy Schultz, going to put a lap on the Mazda of Thomas Stedman. It's not Thomas Stedman now, it's his teammate Michael Hooper, isn't it? There's the Luke Paul Brown's car. Now that's again doing some work on the tyres there, John.
Yeah, yeah, it's fronts, isn't it? Well, certainly front left has been changed. It's interesting to me that the Audi's, Scott Parkin's car was having the wheel nuts just torqued to the right amount, the right level, but I don't think they did a tyre change on either of those Audis. That was just a check, because you've got the time to do it, whereas this is definitely doing the front left, the tyre that's been taken off in the foreground and the correct side of the white line. Again, an attempt to get the engine temperature down as much as possible with the coolers. Was taken with the car as it's lowered back onto the deck, and that will return very shortly.
It will indeed. So soon we're going to give a rundown on the order as it stands after the pit stops, because it is now starting to make more sense. But we have a situation whereby basically it's Scott Parkin leading the race by 36 seconds on Dylan Rickton, and it looks like Darren Ball possibly has ground score of this in third position. Get an update on that, just confirmation on that, just to see that it certainly is a new tyre on the left front there. So we see the label on the tyre, so a very fresh tyre indeed. I think on the front right as well.
Stickered tyres, as they say in the business. So it's brand new fronts for both. I wonder whether that will be, well, I was going to say noticeable difference, but of course Paul Browse has not driven the car yet in the race, but he will definitely feel the benefit of lots of grip just as soon as the tyre actually gets up to temperature. Also, sometimes there's a release agent that you have to get rid of as well, so it could be a bit greasy, a bit sideways for the first few corners, and then the grip will properly kick in.
Just over half an hour to go. So it's looking like Scott Parkin, he's now leading on the timing screen as well, because he's just come across the line once again. There's going to be half a minute or so clear of Dylan Richter, who will be second in the car showing for Brian Jordan. And then it should be third, I think, Darren Ball. Class B, that's Martin Marshall Webster leading from Skidder Island and Trinity Ballesteros. Class C, that's Dennis Development Championship with Round Spare. There's the 481 car, one of the later cars to reach this slot. That's the solo drift. Quite a few BMWs on the grid in this race. It's watching the number one car then, they're basically just putting a lap there on number 10, which is now Andrew Shepherd, who's taken over that. He's in 6th position, so I think it will now be 2 laps down with that car, 6th place. Just looking at the time screen by the time they come back through. That. 38 seconds from first to second, 30 seconds from second to third. And yeah, we're just going to get the lead through shortly again to complete another lap.
Still waiting for Senna and Osman to head into the pits. So that's the only car now not to have stopped. And there needs to be a driver change there as well to Jody House. So it's okay for time.
Yep.
15 minutes in order to do that legally. But it will drop the 171 car further down the rankings in Class B. The car that they're essentially trying to catch is the number 8 Ginetta, which we just spoke at length, of course, to Chris Webster. He's handed over to Matthew Tidmarsh and comfortably leading Class B. Well, it's 22, nearly 23 seconds. The Ginetta separated back to now the Christopher Nyland Honda Civic Type R. Some interesting comments from Chris Webster to say actually traffic's not too bad. This is a lengthy circuit and a slightly smaller grid than we're perhaps used to in the TTDI ClubEnduro has made that a tad easier. Although traffic has the habit of clumping together, and you don't want to be suddenly turning the corner to see 3 or 4 cars right on the bit of asphalt that you want. So it depends as well where you're finding the traffic and how much of a delay it can cause.
Having a look at this rainfall radar again. I think we're safe from rain during the course of this race, but there's a possibility we might get some after the Enduro race is finished. Should be pretty safe for the next 29 minutes or so of this race. It's really for the drivers and the spectators here at Oulton Park as well. It's after this point out there. So there's the one car that's doing the making stop. We've got 7 car of Senna Osman and Jody House. Surely will come in fairly soon to give Jody a reasonable stint of racing for the second half. Just looking to see which car is the fastest car out there at the moment. Well, it's looking like it's probably Dylan Richter actually, who's the fastest on the last lap, on the 150.182. But that's Alan Blanco car, fairly quick, also into the 150s as well on the last lap. And yes, indeed, the 171 car does have into lane. So that's everyone now will have made their stops in about 3 minutes' time.
We mentioned the 5-second time penalty for Fenwick Shepherd BMW M2. That's only just flashing up now. I think being indicated as well. They'll give that a couple of laps to make sure that Andy Shepherd, who now drives the number 10 BMW, has been given that additional penalty. So this car is currently 7th, not taking the 5-second time penalty into account just yet. Oh, is it at the end rather than in race?
Yeah.
There was a time when TSL were actually toying with time penalties whilst we were going on, and that caused problems in itself.
Yes,
as well.
Especially if you're sort of trying to operate a safety car. I think this car should be behind that one. So it's, so I think as soon as the race finishes, that one's
They are incorporated. That's across the piece. That's the better way of doing it.
There's that car then. Fuel to car off the race. Joe you can see on the right. Let's take a shot. Situation is shortly. So a few order there. Let's do the order with 27 minutes just to go. Number 1, Scott Parkin leads. He's completed 37 laps. He's 37 seconds very nearly ahead. 6 Ryan Parkin to Victor, just completes 38. Second number 6, Parkin Victor. Third number 25, Ball, down the ball. Fourth number 22, Luke Rouse and his father Paul, who's now on the wheel. Fifth on a lap down is number 69, Andy Schultz, Matthew Hampson. Sixth on a lap down, 7, Martin Gadsby and Ian Jones. Seventh and a lap down is number 10, Andy Shepherd and Fenwick. 8th of the lap down, 4 from 4, and back on track. Norman. Then we get to the Class B winner, number 8. Chris Webster, Tim Marshall on that car. That's in Class B, Janetta from Chris Puttergill and Chris Nyland. There's 21 seconds or so between them, and then third in Class B, Robin Trunkley and Sandra Race. Class C, 16th overall is Southampton Dennis, but now Shaw's taken over that car, and he is well ahead of the second place in the pole. That's the MX5, so Tom will also be able to move third within the next class. And in a moment, I'll just play with my spreadsheet, and I'll get confirmation of where all of this is going to leave the championship if the stays there.
Got 3 cars on the lead lap at this point. I wonder whether there's any advance on that. Yeah, the green Cupra has not yet been lapped by Scott Parkin's Audi. So that car, the Browse car, is also just about on the lead lap. Gives you an idea of the difference between the two TTs from Darkside developments. There's a gap of nearly 40 seconds now, so Scott Parkin is heading through the run between Druids and Lodge Corner. His twin brother Ryan, well, earlier on in the car, now Dylan Brichter is still way back at Knickerbrook, and it will be 4 cars in total on the lead lap, but I reckon the Hamilton Schultz car, also to be given a penalty at the end of the race, is just now off the lead lap, having been overtaken by car number 1. So how much more does Scott need to do, Scott Parkin need to do to get ahead of the number 22 green Cupra, because that will take another car off the lead lap. I think it's going to be a big ask to lap the field, because Dylan Brichter is charging on, although about half a second slower last time through than Scott Parkin. So Dylan's not quite as quick as Ryan Parkin, I think it's fair to say. Meanwhile, Darren Ball, his number 25 Cupra, is arriving into Lodge Corner now with this striking colour scheme. Dayglow yellow and grey wrap. And that car will head across the line in third position. The difference is 1 minute and 14 seconds up to the race leader Scott Parkin.
Let's head down to the pit lane and hear from him.
Yes, well, I've got an audio report on the 117 BMW. The 3 Series Compact, unfortunately, has just come in with brake failure. Driver reported that the brake pedal had gone straight to the floor, and obviously, unfortunately, unsafety continued. So they are in the garage now. The brakes are absolutely smoking, and the driver is just getting out of the car. Shame way to end the race, really, but the safest thing to do. So back into you guys in commentary.
James Gavin took the wheel of that in the second part of the race. Now, I'm playing with my spreadsheet, as I'm expected to do, and I reckon, well, we kind of knew that this was going to wrap things up for Sam Ashwell and Sam Dennis. If they win this race with the fastest lap in the Class C, which they look like they're going to do, they're going to get an unimprovable 80 points from the first 5 races. But also, if things stay this way, it's just enough stay this way for Scott Parkin to win the Class A Championship. 58 points. If Dylan Brichter can get the fastest lap away from those remaining 20 odd minutes of the race, then that could change things a little bit. But it looks like Scott Parkin trying for Class A. Class B, as things stand, that looks like it's going to go down to the wire. Or is it now? Hold on, get my spreadsheet.
Almost smoke coming out of that spreadsheet, a little bit like Kevin Clark's BMW from earlier on.
Absolutely, it's leaking everywhere. I think if things stay as they are, then the Class B Championship will at least go down to the final round. Although, having said that, the car I was thinking that might take the fight to Tim Martin is the car that we saw on the inset in the pit lane there for an unscheduled stop. The Chris Nyland and Will Puttergill, number 83 car, is in the pit lane.
Second time.
So, and if that is the case, then yeah, all bets are off in terms of the championship. That might be the Tim Marshall today Class B.
I wonder how aware of that situation they are from a team perspective. Maybe you don't want to give your drivers too much information. The one driver comes in your car will be well aware, I'm sure. And you don't wish ill on a competitor at any point. But this late in the season, it's just a sign that maybe the stars are starting to align in your favour when you see an opponent like that jacked up on the left-hand side. The intention is front left corner. I'd say the wheel is off. Maybe they're concerned about the amount that the brakes have been wearing or something overheating. So that's not going to rejoin in a hurry. Meanwhile, we have 5.5 minutes of the pit window still open, but everybody has now made at least one pit stop, so they should have all been fine. We did have that one early stop, didn't we? And that was a car with a problem, so
yes.
they were never going to call that as their mandatory.
No, but I have had notification that they've kind of accepted that given they're in the pit lane for 22 minutes, that they're probably going to let them. So that's the ahead again.
It's a good memory.
So less than 20 minutes to go now in this TTDI Enduro Championship. It looks like it's one with that 9 of them skill car in the pit lane could well sort out all of the passes.
Yes.
Class C was sorted out already. Class A and Class B still to be chugging into this weekend. It looks like Scott Parkin and Tim Marshall have to respectively wrap things up if things stay this way. With just one meeting to go still after this at Donington Park until the Grand Prix circuit at Donington. A little battle this going on, and this is for position, is it not? And it's a change.
It is, and a change, but the key thing about the Hampson and Schultz BMW is that they've got to now build a lead of 5 seconds because they're carrying this penalty that will only be assessed at the end. So there'll be the warnings there. It's effectively been divvied out, but it will only be felt on the timing screen once the checkered flag is waved. So yes, now the job of Andy Schultz to try and build a gap and make sure that the car does finish 4th rather than 5th, which that timing margin would mean it slips behind the Cupra. Still frantic work going on the number 83 car. They're desperate to get this car back into the race for the reasons you've explained.
Yes, so up to 4th place, that was going on Schultz for the moment. Did that at Oulton. But the orange cars seem to attract orange cars in this race because we've now got the 19 James Pickford. It's Formula 600 Honda racer. Alan, the number 19, who's got Christian number 481, and indeed the box just behind as well. It's fantastic. But for any fans of orange racing cars, if they're here today, you're really spoiled. Absolutely. I imagine the Marshalls were such a... That's why they were going so well here today.
Yes. And there must be something magnetic about that shade. Because, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? How it's turned out like that. We had a couple of orange cars together, but now I think all of them collected down at Knickerbrook and climbing the hill top of Clay. What's it called? Clay Hill. There we go. As the 83 Honda is back on the move.
It is, which is good news. Just Oulton Park.
Thank you.
That's right. The 171 car was also in the pits. That was a battery failure for the Osmond car. Struggling to get that research. So I think that they've been about a day, unfortunately. So 17 minutes or so left to go in this race now. Everyone's moving their stops and just looking to see if there is a makings of a battle anywhere, but the closest one I can see looks to be for second in Class C between the Michael Hooper MX-5 and Tom Walker BMW. About half a second between them. Let's head down to pit lane once again and hear from Kevin.
At the back of the shots there, as Johnny was filming in the pit lane, the 171 Climax BMW M3 unfortunately was stuck right here in the middle of the pit lane. Basically what happened is they've done the driver swap, they've gone out and the car died. They brought the battery booster down to try and jump it, got it started again, disconnected it, and the car died once again, and unfortunately they just wheeled it out of the pit lane now. sad way to end the race again. We're back to you guys up in commentary.
And particularly, Kieran, as they've got this far, it's an hour and 40 minutes, and within, not quite sight of the checkered flag, but inside the final 20 minutes, the late and much missed Hugh Chamberlain often used to say about runs at Le Mans, if you were going to retire, much better to retire in the first 2 hours than the final 2 hours, to have stayed up all night and fully committed to it. Learn your fate as early as possible, and then you can go down the pub, was his general way of thinking.
Isn't it? Just looking at potential implications. Oh, there's a spit. Oh, hang on. This could affect the spreadsheet again. That's the 119 car, the Audi TT of Sandro Ballesteros, which has spun. He's got the wipers going, the steam, I think that is, emitting from under the bonnet of the Audi TT. So that's spun off at Nick and Brook by the looks of it. And it doesn't look like it wants to get going again.
Has installed, I imagine it has, or gone into some sort of limp mode, which I'm trying to now get that out of the systems check. It's electrical more than anything else.
Before I saw that car stranded on the grass, I was about to say implications of that late stop from Harlan and Cottigan are that they wouldn't be able to overhaul Tidmarsh and Webster, but Trundy and Ballesteros would have been able to overhaul Trundy and Webster, so they could have got level with them in the final round. But I think the way it's going, Johnny, the championship could have decided in favour of Tidmarsh and Webster today if they get to the end, because it looks like reliability possibly at spin has afflicted their rivals while just get the final classification and the impact that has on the points in about 14 minutes time.
Yeah, so a significant moment, particularly now as Sandro Ballesteros is not moving again, can't get the car to cooperate, stranded on the grass. It didn't look like it had stalled. That could have well have been as a result of a spin. Meanwhile, the race leader, Scott Parkin, not encountering those sort of problems. In a similar car, mind you, TDI heads over the start and finish line right in front of our commentary position. Lots of tyre pickup on the outside of Old Hall Corner now, so you're only going too wide into that because grip will be at a real premium. But Scott not needing to worry because there's a real racing line that has developed over the last hour and a bit.
The marshals now on the scene, but not by the Ballesteros Audi TT as well. They're going to try and intervene somehow to get that car to a position of safety, and we get the safety car with 13 minutes of the race to go. Just want to keep those windows closed because that's no longer a factor. It looks like all they're going to do is push it up against the barrier there, so this could be quite a short safety car period, but it might be enough to spark a little bit more interest in some battles if it closes some gaps before the end. We'll see how that works. It doesn't look like they're going to get the intervention of a recovery vehicle there. There's the 171 car which Kim was reporting about a few moments ago, and there is the safety car looking in the track, just heading onto the circuit where it will pick up the car of Anne Schultzton. That's the car that's going to succeed.
Yeah, so it may take a couple of cars to be waved by.
Oh no, it's the Audi, beg your pardon. It's still for the John Allen's car.
Okay. So that, in a moment, I'm sure we'll give permission to take past on a safe-ish part of the circuit. As in, maybe the straight between Cascades and Island Bend, running down Lakeside. The recovery work continues in the foreground.
Oh yeah, that's just shooting off.
Yeah, it's a challenge to go through those plastic blocks going forwards, but now reverse. So almost auto-test style.
So they are going to try and move the
Ginetti can be waved through. The other question, of course, is whether this interrupts with some of the other class battles at all, and gives certain cars, maybe class leaders, a massive lead that they wouldn't have already had. It's very dependent on Scott Parkin's location in relation to Class B and Class C front runners.
then going to be how much racing is there left, if any, whether all of this is sorted out. I'm just about surprised they are going to try and move that car. Way, given there's only 10 minutes of race to go. It's not the kind of place that gets to go on. At some point, if not now, then after the race is finished. So, yeah, safety car, boards, flags, lighting panels, all around the circuit.
There's the race leader,
Yeah.
with the half red, half yellow door mirrors on the Darkside Developments Audi, car number 1. And then in behind, that Mazda will not be on the lead lap. So how close is this going to draw the Dylan Brichter car now? He's going to have lots of cars between the two Audis, so won't have clear line of sight. But this definitely equalises the field, and maybe in the favour, well, totally in the favour of the chasing cars. The one that is really going to lose out in this scenario is Scott Parkett. Thankfully, his car has proven to be very fast so far. Paul Browse driven Cupra is also not far away from the race leader, but not on the same lap. A lap back, the bright green Cupra. And there's the Audi, the second of the Darkside cars. So car 6, maybe about 10 cars separating them ish.
Just looking at the point situation again in Class B, I think if it finishes as it looks like it's going to now within Class B, then Tim Marshall Webster will have wrapped up the Class B Championship as well. So Scott Parkin will have wrapped up Class A, Tim Marshall Webster will have wrapped up Class B, and Moore and Dennis will have wrapped up the overall championship. And quite clearly, all of their respective class winners in this race as well, which is hopeful for when Kevin goes to interview them at the end of the race as well. So, there we are, there's the Bracedale's car being taken out of bounds. So that's clear for the second two. I should think we'll be one more lap behind the safety car. So that's probably going to give us about 5.5 minutes or something of racing left. So maybe another 3-4 laps possibly between now and the end of the race. I mean, there are some gaps. It has closed up. So if you look 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, that's Luke, Paul Browse now, Alan Blanco, sorry, yeah, Schultz, Paul Browse, Blanco and Shepard. They're giving us only a few seconds. Really, they'll give us some basic tell us they through. A bit further back for 14, 15, 16. Cooper, Walker and Nyland. Importantly for Nyland, because he'll be trying to make up places to see if he can just pick up a couple more points. He needs to get on terms with Michael Downey though, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think 4th place for what's good at Nyland within Class B is as good as it's going to get at that pit stop that they had to make. That's the car that's just going through now on the stream. Was in the pits for an extra stop, and it has cost them the chance of taking the title fight to Donington Park in the final on the 12th of October. Staying with another MSV track to complete the season. 4 of the 6 rounds have been at MSV circuits this year. Wellsville, Priest, Netherton, Donington for the final round of the season. Croft, so I can see Marshall outside my country box with that. He's got a yellow flag in one hand, he's got a green flag in the other hand. It suggests he's been given the word that at the end of this lap the safety car will go in.
I mean, you heard his name almost being called there. We don't know every Marshall by name, but we're learning slowly. Yeah, so that's definitely an indication. Maybe we get, in fact, the lights are out. Great spot, Ian. So the lights extinguished at Water Tower pretty much just before the Druids double right-hander. And yeah, all eyes on that fight for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th made more spicy because there are 5-second penalties integrated into that as well.
Yes,
So
that's right.
the 69 car now driven by Andy Schultz can't afford to waste too much time here in the third of the white BMWs, wanting to try and gap that green Cupra as much as possible in the 6 minutes that remain.
So here they come over the line with just under 6 minutes to go, and a good restart there from Scott Parkin. Of course, he had got a Class A MX-5 behind him, not one of his Class A rivals. So all of the cars sort of shuffled out of sort of the order of their sort of lap pace, really. So it's going to take a moment or two for things to settle down as they emerge from this queue behind the safety car. But I think we'll find that Scott Parkin is just able to put a lot of daylight between himself and the rest. But it looks like Schultz now has cleared the MX-5, and as you say, he's got a 5-second penalty. So too does Andy Shepherd, a bit further back as well. So all will be revealed on the timing screen at the end of the race to exactly the finishing order is for the other places.
Shepherd in the number 10 M2 BMW. So in this match, yeah, there he was on the outside line, leaving Shell Oils. So 2 Cupras together. They were together in the opening stanza as well, just before there was a very slight error for Claire Norman heading into Lodge Corner, which rather changed the order. Over Hilltop and into Nicky Brook go the race leaders. It's only 7.2 seconds time line between the Parkin and Brichter Audis. The problem is Brichter's got all this traffic to try and deposit. Scott Parker's got an open road, so I would very much expect the number 1's lap time at the end of this, the first racing lap from the safety car, to be a lot faster than Audi number 6.
Yeah, it certainly should be. And we know that it is difficult to get past even sort of slower cars, like it's about to pass out the Class B Audi. That's really easy to get through here at Oulton Park. So their way through, across the line has already gone Scott Parkin. He's done the best lap of the race on that first final lap of 1:48.225. So making sure that fastest lap bonus point as well, it would seem. There's a battle for position. That's Browse and Blenko. Paul Browse and Alan Blenko. That's 5th and 6th. The green Cupra, and there's a white and blue Cupra behind it. Car behind that is the bit further back. It's one of the lap cars, isn't it? Then we just saw a shot of Ryan Parkin in front of him. Basically lost 7 seconds on that lap, first lap under green flag, because he was stuck in traffic, and Scott Parkin wasn't. Dylan Brichter, I should say, rather than Ryan Parkin. Come in second place. There it is.
Yeah, Scott Parkin doing the fastest lap of the race, and Dylan Brichter wanting to. We're getting rather frustrated, I'm sure, in amongst a lot of the traffic, but it's very easy to throw a great position in this race, standalone, if you like, race away, because a first and a second place finish for Darkside Developments is something that we've been aiming for as we got this 1 hour and 40-minute race underway. Still the chance for the Cupras to switch positions. Blenko applying the pressure to Paul Brow's car. Meanwhile, the gap at the start of this lap to Andy Schultz in the 69 BMW is halfway there. 2.7 seconds it's at the start of lap 50. 49 for the Schultz BMW, in fact. Still 3 cars remain on the lead lap. And Scott Parkin still on the ragged edge. Braking, turning, squealer tyres. Now to the outside goes Alan Blenko to try and pick off Paul Browse, and he's done it. Excellent move. Late on the brakes to the outside of Lodge Corner. And is he going to stay ahead? Yeah, he's comfortably ahead, heading over the start and finish line. So the Norman and Blenko, blue and white Cupra, treble 4, now into 5th spot. Could even be 4th once you incorporate the penalties.
And there is our Class B leader, just going through shot. That's the number 8 Matthew Titmarsh Ginetta. The car behind it is the car in, or one of the cars behind it is the car in 3rd place within that class, but a lap behind, that's the Michael Downey Porsche Boxster. There is the number 19 car. That is the car that is in between the 2nd place. And that's James Pickford at the wheel of the orange Audi TT. Just ahead of that on the road, the car that's in 4th place within that class. That's the Chris Nyland car that is, let's say, 4th place, and therefore not weight's going to do enough to take the title fight to Dr. Mark.
Minute 10 seconds left on the clock. Second place Audi, 17 seconds adrift now. That is Dylan Brichter, monitoring the gap back to Darren Moore to a certain extent, but it's the thick end of 10 seconds, so he doesn't need to be hugely concerned about that. Car immediately behind is the now Christopher Nyland driven Honda Civic Type R, which spent all of that time in the pit lane. They were addressing something related to the front of the corner. A further penalty. It's an extra 10 seconds now to be added to the Fenwick and Shepherd BMW car number 10. So it's already carrying a 5-second penalty, probably for track limits, and a further track limit infringement. They're incremental steps, so the next one is a 10-second penalty, so 15 in total.
Yeah, so that's not going to help their cause. It will probably cost them a position, at least one position in this race. Nice scrap going on here. This is James Pickford in the orange Audi TT taking part the R8 LMS. Not just ahead of it, that's Alan James driving that at the moment. But now onto the last lap has gone Scott Parkin, 19 seconds to the good in this race now. And it's looking like this is going to be his third win of the season. Already had wins at the Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit and Snetterton as well. In fact, he will have had all of his wins at MSV circuit, so he's clearly a great fan of the Jonathan Palmer owned facilities to Silverstone. But anyway, heading down towards the right-hander at his laps for the 52nd and final time in this race. Through Nick and Brooke, it's about a third of a lap to go now. Climbing up the hill, Clay Hill, under the pedestrian bridge. Then that's that tower left here, and then into the right-hander, George double apex right-hander. Out of it he will come onto the what is essentially a straight. He's got his hand out in the cockpit. He's got a very hot hand, who is celebrating already, and
Saying thank you to all the marshals.
he is. Well, normally you can do that on the slowing down lap, but he's so far ahead he can do it on the last lap of the race. He's going to take the checkered flag now, and he wins for the third time this season, the Scott Parkin in the TTDI ClubEnduro Championship. He also wraps up the Class A Championship for ClubEnduro for 2024. So let's have a look at the results then. It is the number 1 car of Scott Parkin that took the win at the end of 52 laps. He was 21 seconds clear of number 6, Ryan Parkin and Dylan Brichter. There was a Darkside Developments 1-2 there for the Audi TTs.
We're going to speak to Scott Parkin. Scott, race win, championship win in your class. How was it out there?
Yeah, pretty good. I was just saying the BMW Kevin Clark looked like he was going to give us a bit of trouble. He pitted quite early. They put some fuel in, came out in front of me, so I thought, right, I'll get a measure of his pace. And I seemed to catch him really quick, and I said to the guys on the radio, something's not quite right there with him, and I passed him pretty easily, and then he came into the pit, so clearly he had an issue. Yeah, and then it was just a case of sort of keeping it on the track. I had a spin, I hope you got that on camera. I had a spin into the chicane. We put new tyres on the car in the pit stop, and that changed the balance quite a bit, so I had a lot more front end. So I went into there, back end just came round, I just thought I just let it spun round, luckily nobody around me, so yeah, I think that cost me about 10 seconds, but yeah, with the looks of it, it didn't seem to make much difference. But yeah, thank you so much to the team. You know, they were up while nearly 1 a.m. yesterday sorting some issues out on the car that they found, and we've had a 1-2, which is fantastic for the team, so that's the payback for their hard work.
No, absolutely. Well, congratulations on the win and the championship as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you very much.